Good morning to the pupils and staff of Shiplake. Welcome back to our summer term. I hope that you have all had a healthy and relaxing Easter break. Here in Shiplake, it has been almost uninterrupted blue skies. The Thames has been shimmering. The pitches are all really quite hard now, and the head gardener, would you believe it, actually wants it to rain to give a bit of relief to the ground. If you look at your timetables, we're going to start each week with a whole school assembly. We will also have chapel services, thoughts for the day, communion on a Friday, and it's really important that we start our mornings as we would do if you were here at the college, and in the most positive, normal way. And as in all our school assemblies, we will start with a prayer from the Rev.
Thank you, Mr. Howe. Good morning, everyone. And they rose that same hour and returned to Jerusalem. And they found the disciples who said, "The Lord has risen indeed and has appeared to Simon." Then they told what had happened on the road and how he was known to them in the breaking of the bread. As we think of the disciples in that upper room, we are mindful of our own isolation and the great difficulties that many face in this crisis. Heavenly Father, as we begin this new term, we give thanks for the work and care of so many in our society, within the NHS and beyond. We give thanks for those who have worked so hard here over this holiday to provide a rich framework of learning for every pupil. And we pray that with faith, hope, and love, we may serve each other day by day. Amen.
Thank you, Rev. Now, I'm sure that you've all been aware of and have been following the story of Captain Tom, that amazing 99-year-old former British Army officer. He is 100 on Thursday, and his fundraising has topped £29 million and is the most extraordinary achievement, and just shows the impact that one individual can have on the world. Today is a big day for all of us, but for one person in particular, it's a really important day. And I like to think that we have our own captain here at Shiplake. Compared to Captain Tom, she is a spring chicken, but her contribution over a long period of time has been highly significant. Today, our school secretary, Sue Arpino, is celebrating her 30th anniversary of working here at the college, and she is a hugely important member of the Shiplake community. 30 years is a really long time, and Sue has seen a lot of changes happening within the school. Written memos have been replaced by computers on every desk, emails and tweets. Girls arrived for the first time in the late 90s, including her own daughter Emma in 2000. And 9 years later, Gilson House started, and we had the first cohort of Year 7 boys in the newly formed lower school. Sue truly is one of the pillars of Shiplake, and without her knowledge, experience and dedication to the school, Shiplake wouldn't be in quite the same position that it is at the moment. Having only arrived in September, I've only just got to know Sue, but I've heard lots of comments about her warmth, friendliness, and sense of humour. As Sue's third headmaster, I've been struck by her calmness and her reliability, particularly when it comes to organising and juggling the school buses, which is a task that none of us envy. Nothing is ever too much trouble for Sue. She's consistent, she's positive, and in every team you need glue. You need people to hold the team together. And I know that Sue is watching this morning. So Sue, on behalf of everyone at Shiplake, thank you for being the glue in our team and for holding us all together. And I hope that you have a great day. Now I'd like to ask Henry Kunzig from Year 11 to read a piece of verse to you.
Good morning. I'm going to be reading The Man in the Glass by Peter Dale Wimbrow. When you get what you want in your struggle for self and the world makes you king for a day, just go look in the mirror and look at yourself and see what that man has to say. For it isn't your father or mother or wife whose judgment upon you must pass. The fellow whose verdict counts most in your life is the one staring back from the glass. He's the fellow to please, never mind all the rest, for he is with you clear to the end. And you've passed your most difficult, dangerous test if the man in the glass is your friend. You may fool the whole world down pathway of years, but get pats on the back as you pass. But your final reward will be heartache and tears if you've cheated the man in the glass.
Thank you, Henry. I asked Henry to read that poem because it contains a very interesting and meaningful challenge to all of us at the moment. As many of you know, I played professional rugby for a number of years, but I haven't really talked about it very much at all in assembly or around the school. First of all, it's a long time ago. It's about 15 years since I hung up my boots. And secondly, life has moved on. My life now is school and education and Shiplake College. But for the next few minutes, I'm going to talk to you about some of my experiences. And I'd like to talk to you about the unique atmosphere inside a rugby changing room just before you're about to go out onto the pitch. It's a strange atmosphere. It's quite primal. It's raw, and it strips away any pretense. And anyone who's been in a rugby changing room will know what I mean. The first 15 before their Friday night lights will know it. But actually, it doesn't matter whether it's the under 14 Bs, the first, seconds, thirds, a club side, or even an international team. That feeling is intense, and it's nerve-wrackingly exhilarating. But it's also interesting because individuals can react in different ways. And I have a few examples. And I'm going to share a screen with you so you can see some of the pictures of the people that I'm going to talk about. Now, 25 years ago, Oxford University played against Cambridge University in the 114th varsity match at Twickenham. There were 76,000 people in the stadium, and at that stage, it was a world record for a rugby match. I was the captain of the Oxford University team. And in the final minutes before the knock on the door came to tell the teams to come out, I surveyed the scene in the changing room. We had quite a few English players, and they were in a huddle, beating their chests, getting themselves psyched up, coming up with truly inspirational things like, "Come on, lads." Meanwhile, there were 3 South Africans, and they were holding hands on their knees in the corner, and they were praying. There was a Frenchman who is the chap at the top of the screen wearing the blue shirt. That's in the varsity match. A Frenchman called Jérôme Rionde. To date, he's the only Frenchman to play in a varsity match. He was stretching his hamstrings when all of a sudden he rushed down the corridor and everyone heard him being sick in the toilets. At this, one of the South Africans got up and rushed down to be sick as well. There was another player from Northern Ireland called David Humphreys, who's the chap wearing the Irish shirt. While all this was going on, guess what he was doing? He was playing keepy-uppy with the rugby ball. And I looked across at him and I said, "Are you okay?" And David Humphreys just smiled and he said, "This is great." And 2 months later, having equalled the individual points record for Oxford in a varsity match, Humphreys went on to win his first cap for Ireland against France. And he went on to win 72 caps and is Ireland's 3rd highest point scorer in history after Ronan O'Gara and Johnny Sexton. A slightly different changing room story took place in Belfast a few years later. One of my best friends is this chap. His name is Johnny Bell, and we know him as Dinger. He is one of my son's godfathers. And the main rugby team in Northern Ireland is called Ulster, and Dinger captained them twice, sadly on both occasions to glorious defeat. And it might have had something to do with his team talk. We were in a huddle seconds before leaving the pitch, snarling, hyped up, raring to go, and Dinger stepped into the middle of the tight group. You could sense that this was the moment that he had been waiting his whole rugby career for. And he said these words. He said, "Lads, I'm only going to ask you for 2 things, but I want you to give me them both. Honesty, passion, and integrity." Well, we looked at each other, trying our best not to smile or break the intensity. But one of the boys started biting his lip. Our giant 6'6" second row started heaving his shoulders up and down. And all of a sudden, we all burst out laughing. And poor Dinger, even as we were running out onto the pitch, he was still trying to recover the situation. He said, I know I said 2, but please give me the 3rd one anyway." Clearly, we have never let him forget it. There's another occasion. This is the final one I'm going to tell you about. Another occasion in a changing room that I will never forget. Arguably, the greatest player ever to play rugby for Ireland is this chap, Brian O'Driscoll. He won 124 caps for Ireland. I like this photograph of him. Strength, skill, and guile. He was really strong. incredibly quick off the mark, so skillful, and as this photograph suggests, with the angle of his body and feet, incredibly well balanced. But he was also ferociously competitive. And I was very lucky to be in the same changing room as him on a few occasions. And he said something before a game that has always stayed with me. He challenged all of us. He said, before you go out onto the pitch, I want you to have a good look at yourself in the mirror. And when you come in at the end of the game, go back to that mirror and look at yourself again. Will you be able to look yourself in the eye? The man in the glass. Only you will know. And it's interesting because when you're growing up, you're taught that if you're speaking to someone, you should look them in the eye. But rarely are you encouraged to really look yourself in the eye to see what you think. For me, that challenge meant that I might be able to bluff others, but I couldn't bluff myself. O'Driscoll was forcing me to be honest with myself. Deep down, only I would know whether I had given absolutely everything or alternatively taken the soft option. It meant that there wasn't room for excuses. So how might this sort of advice be applied to a school situation? Well, school is like a playing field. It is an arena of performance. And I know that you're not here in this beautiful school at the moment, and I wish you were. But wherever you're watching this from, you're absolutely part of Shiplake College, and your performance matters. It's important to remember that being able to look yourself in the eye does not guarantee that things will always go well and that you will get it right all the time. We all make mistakes. On a rugby pitch, you might drop the ball or miss a tackle. At school, how many people really get to 100%? We're not perfect, but we do have the choice as to the level of commitment that we show when we do something. My mate, Dinger, he makes me laugh. But in a funny way, his three words of honesty, passion, and integrity seem to complement O'Driscoll's challenge perfectly. How can you really look yourself in the eye if you haven't acted with those three qualities? So here's a thought for you. We are in our last term of the academic year. 8 weeks, it will go in a flash. And you're challenged in this remote learning environment to still perform. You will have live lessons, you will have prep, you will have enrichment and co-curricular activities, and a huge amount of effort has been put in by your teachers to deliver an education to you that is really good, top notch. But for it to be excellent, it needs you to start every day with a positive attitude, to care and to commit yourself to whatever you're doing. This applies to our year 7s right through to our year 13s. Positive attitude, caring and committing. That is the Shiplake way. But more than anybody else, only you know whether you can look at yourself in the mirror and give yourself a knowing nod because you know that you're getting properly stuck in this summer term. At the end of this term, I will remind you to look at yourself in the mirror, and I wonder what you'll see, and only you will know. I'd like to pass over to Mr. Jones, who's going to introduce our hymn.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back, and I hope you're now looking forward to working hard. We're going to start the summer term with one of our favourite hymns, Shine Jesus Shine, and thank you to Mr. Curran and the Year 13 singers for their contribution. Before I share my screen, as always, please sing along.
Shine on me. Shine, Jesus, shine through this land. The promised glory, Holy Spirit reigns. Set our hearts on fire. Flow, river, flow. Flood the nations with grace and mercy. Send forth your word, Lord, and let there be light. As we gaze on your light, on the surface is displayed. On this never changing from glory to glory. Merit giving our lives to the story. Shine on me. Shine on me. Shine, Jesus, shine, fill this land with the light of glory. Yes, Spirit reigns, set our hearts on fire. Flow, river, flow, flood the nations with grace and mercy. Send forth your word, Lord, and let there be light.
Thank you, Mr. Jones, and a special thanks to Bobby Hart-Jones, Ellen Hudson, and Emily Booth. That was terrific. Today is the start of our last term of the year. More than ever before, we have to be self-disciplined, committed, and caring about ourselves and each other. I hope that all of you have a terrific term, one which is full of purpose, positive engagement, and enjoyment. The Shiplake way is that we work really hard, but we do it with a smile on our faces. And it starts with today. Thank you and have a great day. It's 8:38 and we're ready for period one to start. So thank you and have a terrific day.